Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my favorite build so far, which does an absolutely insane amount of damage, as you can see in these clips here. I know that some people might think it's a bit premature to make a build video, considering that, World Tier 5 is right around the corner, and this gear is definitely going to be invalidated pretty quickly once that comes out. But even with that being the case, it's still good to know what sets to run, what to roll on each piece, what guns are good, etc, etc. And I've had a lot of people ask me what build I run, so I figured that I'd make a video showing you guys. I've done a ton of testing, tried so many different builds, and this is where I've ended up after 89 hours of playtime. But besides that, like always, if anybody needs help farming, setting up a build, leveling, anything like that, feel free to email me at nick2biz@gmail.com, and I would love to help you out with that. Also, shameless plug, I've been streaming on Twitch recently, and I'd love to see more of you guys around, so a link for that will be in the description, and it'd be awesome if you guys could come check it out. But anyways, let's get into it. So before I get into it, there are a few things that I want to preface this build with. First off being that I am running the Sharpshooter Specialist. This is because my primary focus was just getting as much damage as possible, and despite the fact that I am using a rifle, even if I were to use something else, the Sharpshooter would yield me the most damage simply because I would be getting 25% increased headshot damage and 30% increased reload speed. So regardless of what gun you're using, this is going to yield you more damage than anything else possibly could. It just happens to be a bonus that this also gives me 15% increased rifle damage, which is a huge bonus. Increased weapon stability is pretty good, only on certain weapons. I heard that there's some bugs with this, not entirely sure, but the reload speed and the headshot damage is way better than just getting a flat like 15% AR damage if I were to run an AR. I don't think it would be, worth going in here just for the 15% versus the 25% headshot damage and 30% reload speed. Another thing I should say, I am very, 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 very far from min-max. I'm not even running the gear sets that I want to be running, and the pieces are all over the place. They could be way better, but truth be told, it's extremely, extremely hard to get exactly what you want in this game. It's extremely RNG intensive, and there's so many different roles and combinations, etc. that go into it. This is just what I have so far, and I figured that I would just upload it anyways just because it seems to be working pretty well, and I just want to get the information out there. As you can probably tell, this is going to be a glass cannon build. I'm trying to do as much damage as humanly possible. If you're looking for a build with high armor or high health or a hybrid build or something like that, this definitely isn't that. I will probably make one in the future, but in my humble opinion, I don't think that going for a lot of armor in PvE necessarily is worth it, because to me it feels like you kind of just get one-shotted anyway, so I think it's better to just play tactfully and just go for as much damage as possible. This build is going to be completely revolving around using an MK17. I'll get more into that in a minute. I do plan on making an AR build in the future, so if you'd like to see that, I'll definitely be doing that. But the MK17 so far has been my favorite weapon, and mathematically is extremely good and superior to the majority of the weapons in this game. So I decided that I would try to make a build around it. So starting off with the weapons, like I said, running an MK. The reason being, I mean, just look at it in comparison to other single shot DMRs. The damage to RPM is crazy, and you wouldn't even want something with like really high RPM, such as a USC or something like that, because you wouldn't be able to consistently land headshots. And the beauty of the MK is that the RPM is just high enough to be able to kind of spray, but also land headshots rather consistently. And headshots are the bread and butter of this build. That's what gives you just a ton and a ton of extra damage. So getting into the weapon talents themselves, I'm running Breadbasket. This is pretty good. You kind of just passively do this. It kind of just happens. I wouldn't like go out of your way to have this happen, because sometimes you'll just be spraying and you'll end up just getting a headshot. The other talent I have on it is Accurate, just for the accuracy. This is because, which I'll get into more later, but for my secondary, sometimes I end up spraying it, and it's good to have the extra accuracy. And also, if you don't have weapon mods and stuff, the accuracy helps it like recenter so that you can shoot faster and obviously be more accurate. If you have like better weapon mods or something and you don't want to do that, you definitely can. I just didn't think anything else was worth it. Like, I didn't think I wanted Allegro because it's a DMR. I don't really want to be spraying. I kind of wanted to like take my time and hit headshots, but sometimes spray. And I just couldn't think of anything else that would be worth it. Like stability, I don't really need that. What else do I got here? Extended mag. Not a big deal when running this. That could be good. It's like 4 or 5 bullets, but really doesn't make a difference. If you can't get Breadbasket, there are a few other things that I would recommend. Where was it? Rifleman is pretty good. I don't have it in here, but it like increases headshot damage after landing consecutive headshots. Killer is okay. The only problem with Killer is that it doesn't get you past crit chance cap. Some people think that it does, but I'm pretty sure that it doesn't. I've tested it relatively extensively. It doesn't get you past 60%, so it's kind of useless because the only time you'd want to use it is like stacking a whole bunch of crit chance. There's also a talent called Ranger. I can't find it, but it's just like the further you are away from a target, the more damage you gain. That's pretty good, but that's pretty much where it ends for the good talents. For my secondary, I'm purely using this for the holster talent just because, like I said, the whole build is centered around this one gun. Every other gun in the rifle class is just pales in comparison. So I kind of only care about that because I'm going to be stacking so much rifle damage with the build. So I just decided to go for something that had a holster talent. This happens to have a relatively good one. While holstered, reloading your weapon within 5 seconds after a kill grants 20% rate of fire. This happens every once in a while. It's not super good because, like I said, you don't really want to always be spraying the MK. But in certain situations, you kill a guy, reload, and you get pushed by a shotgunner, or maybe you need to like spray down a robot or something like that. It's pretty good because it lets you spray your gun and it feels pretty nice. Usually this is way better for like, ARs or something like that. If you don't have the chatterbox yet, I'd recommend watching Wood's video if you don't know how to get it. But if you don't have the chatterbox, you could use the Merciless as well. I got this from just farming a mission. While holstered, landing a shot has a 5% chance to do a plus 20% damage as explosive damage. I think this scales as 120%. So if I were to hit for 10,000, I think this would do 120,000 damage as explosive damage. Don't quote me on that. I just think, but I haven't used it a ton. I only use it for like less than a day. But it's still better than nothing, right? I don't think it's worth to have something to swap to. I just really haven't ever had a situation where my MK doesn't work fine. But yeah. The next thing I want to get into is going to be gear sets. Like I said, my sets aren't anywhere near where I want them to be. Currently I'm running 3 Wyvern, which is giving me crit damage and crit chance. I'm running 2 Overlord, which is giving me rifle damage and total armor. I don't particularly care about the armor. I'm pretty much in it for the rifle damage, but these are the best gloves that I have, so I guess I'm kind of stuck there. And I'm running Araldi for 10% accuracy. I don't really want this. In a perfect world, I want to have Araldi gloves so that I could have 10% accuracy, 10% headshot damage, and then the crit chance and crit damage from Wyvern. But another set that you can do is DNH, which gives you accuracy, crit hit damage, and crit chance. These are the 4 best for running this build: Wyvern, DNH, Overlord, and Araldi, because these are what is going to net you damage. Marksman rifle damage, by the way, counts for snipers, so I would not try to get 3-piece Araldi. So ideally, right now, I would want 2 Araldi, 1 Overlord, 3 Wyvern, but unfortunately I can't do that. But hey, it's doing plenty of damage. Going into individual rolls of pieces, I know this video is going to be pretty long, but there's a lot of information I need to get out. I'm sorry, it's important. So on the mask, there are a few different attributes that you can get. Like I said, this is a glass cannon build, so on pretty much every piece I'm trying to get as many red as possible. Ideally, I would want damage to elites and crit chance here. On this piece I have crit chance and damage to elites, but on this piece I wasn't able to get damage to elites, the talent, which I really wanted. I believe you can also, if I were lucky enough, you could get a utility slot here. Do I have one? I don't have it in my inventory, but you can get a utility slot and then you can like mod it with headshot damage if you have like a general protocol mod. This is pretty good. I thought it was worth it because I'm gaining 20%, 21% enemy armor, or I can't speak English, damage to elites, and I'm only losing 5% crit chance, which isn't a big deal. So I'm doing a ton of damage against NPCs. You might not want to run damage to elites if you aren't fighting a bunch of like, elites. Obviously, it depends on the content that you're doing. I don't know any other mask talent that actually nets you damage, so definitely go for hard hitting here. Your chest piece, here's the big boy. This is just beyond difficult to find a good one. I cannot stress enough how hard it is to find a good chest piece, because in a perfect world, you want 4 red attributes, you want 1 talent being hard hitting, and then you want 2 offensive mod slots. That's very hard to get, and you want the 4 red talents to be rolled the way that you want them to be. I don't know the perfect combination. That really is highly dependent upon your gear, your stats, your gear sets, etc., etc. I would say that you want a mix of crit hit chance, weapon damage, and headshot damage. That's what's going to net you the most, but that also depends on the individual rolls that you can get, and of course you could get all 4 of those. and your rolls vary greatly. I think I have a piece that has like 32% crit hit damage on it. This one has 22% headshot damage. It must be in my stash or something like that, but I would just try to get a combination of crit hit chance, weapon damage, headshot damage, and crit damage, and then try to get the talent, what's it called, hard hitting on it. Berserk is good. I don't have Berserk, but it doesn't work for rifles. So for rifles, hard hitting is going to be the best. If you can't get hard hitting, Unbreakable is pretty nice because it'll just proc. Payload I don't care about. Hardened maybe. Try to get some offensive mods though. I have weapon damage and rifle damage. Weapon damage is always going to net you more damage than, say, crit hit damage would, and it's probably more relevant than headshot damage. If I was like to pick between 10% headshot damage or 10% weapon damage and 15% headshot damage, I would probably pick the weapon damage because I'm not hitting 100% of headshots, and I believe the headshot damage scales off of what weapon damage, but not 100% sure on that. Moving on to the holster. I have crit hit chance, precise, and one mod. I believe you can get 2 of these, and in that case I would get crit hit chance and crit hit damage. I don't think that you can get like weapon damage on here. I've only seen crit chance and crit damage, and obviously as you can see, look, it goes from 3% crit damage to 23% crit damage. It's crazy. And you want an offensive mod slot just for extra damage, of course. In terms of the talents, precise is very good. You can also get devastating. You can also get, you can't get hard hitting on a holster, I don't think. Devastating is good, and precise is good. You can also get surgical. I don't have it in my inventory, but surgical is 8% crit chance, and you can also get critical, which is 8% crit damage. But I believe precise and devastating to be the best. Like I said before, weapon damage, everything scales off of weapon damage, so that is very beneficial. But headshot damage is also really good. I'm just trying to get a lot of crit chance here so that I can reach crit cap, so that my crit damage from this doesn't go away. Also, I forgot to mention my mods because I'm an idiot. I'm running on the scope, I'm running crit hit damage. I wouldn't ever use a full scope because that just, no, you just shoot way too slow, not worth the damage. If you're having accuracy problems, you could run this, or you could run this. I'd recommend running this one over this one because you don't want to lose a crit chance. This is 100% worth because it's 10% crit chance and only minus 10% stability, and you're always going to value crit chance over crit hit damage unless of course you're already at the crit cap, which would be 60%. But stability isn't an issue at all when playing sharpshooter. The muzzle, I'm running crit hit damage. You could run damage to elites if you wanted to. Depends on what you're doing, I guess, but I think crit hit damage is better for me. And the only 7.62 mag I have is headshot damage. I run this, even though I am losing damage to elites. I prefer this because I want my damage to be good all around, not only to one type of enemy. Moving back to the gear, sorry about that. Backpack. Backpack is kind of a pain in the ass too. You want a mix of crit hit chance, crit hit damage, and weapon damage. I don't think you can get any other types of damage here. You could get way better rolls than I have, but is what it is. And you want hard hitting. You don't want 2 talents because 2 talents end up cutting into the possibility of maybe getting 2 offensive rolls or even better rolls here. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but my suspicion is that if you get more other types of rolls, it will affect how powerful these rolls could potentially be. Because as you can see, 10% crit damage versus 4.5%. But this is pretty good. Hard hitting, I don't know any other talent that will net you damage on the backpack, so hard hitting is definitely right there. And of course, try to run a mod with just damage. I just have headshot damage. For the gloves, my gloves are kind of scuffed. I of course want Heraldic gloves, but even though I don't have Heraldic gloves, these still aren't even that good. You ideally want 2 red attributes here, being rifle damage and crit hit chance. If you aren't at crit cap, I believe you can get crit damage. I might be lying to you, maybe you can't get crit damage. But I would try to get a way higher rifle damage roll than this. I've seen like 11%. I don't know why mine is so low, but whatever. In terms of the talent, it's just like a holster. You can get weapon damage, you can get crit hit chance, you can actually get hard hitting. I don't know if you can get this on the holster. You can also get hard hitting on here. I wouldn't recommend it though, because you're going to have so much damage to elites already. And you can get precise. I am considering rolling precise on this. I just haven't yet because I only have one pair of precise gloves, and I don't want to mess it up. I'm just kind of waiting to get Araldi gloves and then seeing what I want to do then. But devastating is definitely a good filler. I think you can get a mod slot, but I've only ever seen it once, if I have. I don't even 100% remember. Maybe I'm delusional, but that's kind of the setup that you want for your gloves. Is rifle damage, crit chance, and then one of these talents. As you probably know by now, the circle talents are definitely best. If you didn't know, you can't re-roll. Like, if I got this to roll on it, I couldn't roll this because this icon is different than this icon, and it doesn't let me roll it. Moving on to knee pads. On my knee pads, I got crit hit chance, damage to elites, weapon damage, and headshot damage. On your knee pads, there's just another one of those pieces where you can't really get any damage talents, so you go for damage to elites. Something that's pretty good is braced, while uncovered weapon handling is increased. I'm not sure how much this actually affects accuracy and stability. It seemed to work pretty well, so if you're having problems with that, you can definitely go for that. In terms of like a best in slot for knee pads, I'm not sure if you can get crit damage. I haven't seen crit damage on knee pads, so I'm assuming that you can only get crit hit chance. But I think that you can get 2 offensive slots here. But of course, that's only if you're extremely lucky. So yeah, that's pretty good so far. In terms of my skills, I don't really care for them that much because I'm not running any skill power. So any skill I run is just gonna be shitty by default because my skill power is basically non-existent. I'm just running a chem launcher for the heal, and I run the Hive Reviver just to res myself, which is pretty nice. If you're in the dark zone, the Reviver won't work for you, but you can res your teammates, which is pretty nice. When I'm in the dark zone, I should run the drone heal, just for a free heal, even though it doesn't do very much. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. These are everything combined. Here's all my stats. Really high headshot damage, almost close to crit cap. Pretty decent crit hit damage. Could be way better if I had better rolls and stuff like that. And then my all weapon damage bonus is 15.5%, 34% rifle damage bonus, and 67% damage to elites, which is pretty good, and the reason that I'm doing so much damage. Sorry that this video is pretty long, but I felt like it was necessary to kind of give you guys a rundown on what the best stuff is for each individual piece. I know that it's very difficult to retain all that information because there's so many variables, and it's not anywhere close to as straightforward as the first game, but I'd recommend just getting down some pen and paper, writing down, okay, this would be good for this piece, this would be good for this piece, etc. As you can see, it's very hard to get what you want. I mean, the variables are just insane. Getting like the brand that you want, getting it to roll 3 red attributes, getting it to roll a talent that you want, getting it to have a slot. It's fucking crazy in this game. But hopefully this helped out some of you. I definitely recommend trying it out, or at least just using the MK. This gun is fucking insane. But yeah, if you guys want me to try to make other build videos, I would love to. I'm probably going to make an AR build after this because I think that I can make that much more optimized. But yeah, hope this helped, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.